when I stop medicating myself with food, then I can bring my whole light forward. And she said, you've got to love yourself right now exactly where you are. Not the when, then. Now. So we're here to celebrate our worth. Yes. Celebrate. We just soak up this moment. Even if it's hot in here from all this celebrating, soak up this moment. It's all right. Amen. So I'm just inviting us to take a mental snapshot of this. To take a mental snapshot of this moment. Because everyone that's here, everyone that's watching us, everyone that's a part of this amazing community known as CSLDallas, the Center for Spiritual Living, we get to celebrate that this is how a, quote, small group of people, when they focus on something, they put their attention, they place their attention, and they bring their whole self forward. We not only meet the goal, we exceeded the goal. Yes! And we prove to ourselves and to everyone in this community that there ain't no stopping us now. Yeah. So together, we can do amazing things. We can do amazing, amazing things. I just celebrate you. Yes. And to also note that every single pledge is worthwhile. You see that? Every single one. Because if one of the pledges had not been there, we wouldn't have made both goals, right? Every single one. I mean, there were some coming in as early as this morning, and it was like, boom, took us over the 800,000 mark. Wasn't that just another new level of celebration? Every single pledge is worthwhile. Without your generosity and commitment to this community, we couldn't have this moment, this snapshot to celebrate this. So I just want you to hug yourself and say, way to go. If you're sitting in this seat, please do that. Whether you've been a pledge or not, you're a part of this community. Way to go. Because you are here. And because you are here, we all get to benefit here in this entire community known as CSLDallas. Because you are here. You're a part of this. And because you are here and you are contributing somehow your love, your glance, your unconditionality to each of us, lifting each other up, the time, the talent, the finances, every single person gets to benefit from what this community has to offer. You are the whole and the micro of this macro. And there ain't no stopping us now because this can be the micro for the macro. Yes. So each one of you is priceless and precious to the whole. Each one. You're priceless and precious to the whole. So this morning we're going to celebrate our worth. Let's do that. Our worth, because right there, I want you to touch yourself. Touch yourself. Celebrate your worth. Just hold it right there. Because we are all worthy. We are all worthy. We are all worthy. We are alive, therefore. Okay, you can keep touching yourself or not. We are all alive, therefore, we are all worthy. Each human being is inherently worthy. I invite you to take this in. You are inherently worthy. You are inherently worthy because before you ever do, achieve, accomplish, acquire, anything. Already worthy. You're already worthy. And this is a powerful and profound place from which to live from. To live from this place. Because in doing so, it causes us to live from the fullness of ourselves, to know that we are worthy, rather than from the not enoughness of ourselves.
Yes.
So let's take a look at this a little more deeply. How many, you don't have to raise your hand, but inside yourself, how many of us really believe we are worthy? In our culture, sadly, I do think that most of us believe that we're not enough. We're not enough. Just not enough. Because our worth seems to be geared towards we constantly have to earn our worth. Constantly. We feel the need that we have to continually strive to do more. We have to achieve more. We have to acquire more. If we do this, whatever this is, then it'll somehow make us worthy. If we achieve this, it will somehow make us feel enough. So in this paradigm that our culture has taught us and continue to want us to accept and believe, our life becomes very conditional. Becomes very conditional. Because it seems like there's always, doesn't it always seem like there's something more to do, achieve, accomplish, acquire? It's tiring. It's exhausting, isn't it? At least for me, living this way can be exhausting. So most of us live with some level, whatever that is, of self-rejection. We self-reject ourselves. Get out of here. Because inside ourselves, due to this culture, we never quite measure up. Just don't quite make it. There's a psychologist, Bob Edelstein, and he says, we pursue what he calls external identity markers. External identity markers. These are things that we think will make us feel worthy when we get or do them. An external identity marker for one person might be, well, I haven't written my book yet. I'm going to stay consistent. Or I don't own a Mercedes. An external identity marker for someone else might be, I'm not as popular as my brother. Or I'm not at my ideal weight. So these markers are all arbitrary. They're all arbitrary and they're all subjective. And we make them up. Somehow they're made up based upon our family or our culture. So as we know, when a marker is met, it's momentary. There's this momentary sense of well-being, but it doesn't hang around very long, does it? It doesn't last for whatever reason. If you were only as good as your last task, your last achievement, your last acquisition, whatever that might have been, the striving for the next thing to do, to achieve, or to acquire, there's no end in sight. There's just no end in sight for our worthiness. It makes us impossible to feel good about our own selves in this constant, ongoing way. And I believe perhaps this is one of the reasons why many of us internally never feel good enough. But remember, you are inherently worthy. You are inherently worthy. You are inherently worthy. We are human beings. Beings who are already worthy. And this invites us to unconditionally and love and accept ourselves. It invites us to have a reverence for our own life and to have an unconditional positive regard for you. Try this. I have an unconditional positive regard for me. Does that feel congruent? Does that feel real? Does that feel alive? That's where we want to get to. Because we know who we are. When we know who we are, when we can accept ourselves exactly as I am, without a need for improvement, without any outward accomplishments, then I can be me. Hi, me. Paradoxically, this allows me to become the person I want to be. So this is the paradox. When I accept me exactly as I am right now, it assists me, it helps me in becoming the me I want to be. I am being who I want to become from that place. So here's the deal. We must start to accept and love ourselves now. Now. To not fight against ourselves, because resistance is futile. Boy, this is something I'm working on. We resist what is and call it worthless. We resist what is and call it worthless. For example, Peter and I were having this very conversation during the practitioner retreat this weekend. We did this intense process. Every single person went through, I call it the fire. And after that, I started talking, and I was reflecting on what I said in that process. And I said, well, when I stop medicating myself with food, then I can bring my whole light forward. And she said, you've got to love yourself right now exactly where you are. And that was what struck me for this whole entire message today. Oh my gosh. Not the when, then. Now. As you experience this unconditional acceptance of yourself, your enoughness, your inherent worth, there's this deep sense of your own self-worth, and it's experienced, and when you strive to achieve and acquire, it becomes a more joyous experience of who you are, and you bring more of your gift to the world in that moment. Our monthly theme is Take Up Your Life. And one of the most important ways I feel that we could each take up our own life from this moment is to unconditionally love and accept ourselves. First and foremost, to know that I am whole, I am love, and most importantly, I am worthy. I am worthy. To feel that in your bones, I am worthy. Rather than perhaps living an unhappy, anxious, striving place kind of life, I'll get it, we are then more grounded. We have this greater sense of ourselves. We know who we are. We are unconditionally loving ourselves. So therefore, coming from this place, we can accept our good. We can receive our good. And we can want more good to come into our lives. So if we start with the sense of our inherent self-worth, then the striving, achieving, and acquiring emerges from our authentic core. Striving, achieving, and acquiring comes from a congruent matching of our internal desires with what you want to manifest in the world. Otherwise, it's incongruent. Otherwise, you're not manifesting it. Right? To be incongruent. So I would like to ask you to do an experiment. Are you willing to do an experiment, or at least hear what it is and then decide? Yes. Okay. For one day. One day. Pick the day this week. One day. Go through the day with the assumption that you are enough and you are worthy. Just as you are. Right now. And then during the day, be aware how this assumption may move. You may see that you're moved from a sense of well-being and wholeness and completeness and worthiness, or you may have a sense of resistance, or anything in between. And no matter what comes up for you, I invite you in this one day to treat yourself with unconditional, positive regard for yourself with a sense of awe for your existence. Because you are worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. And CSLDallas is worthy of you and your powerful commitment to who we are becoming in this community and in the world. Let's celebrate our worth. And so it is.